Hey, DNA fam. Obviously, you can tell by the fact that we haven't uploaded anything in a week or so that Courtney and I are going through some changes. She just moved, and I'm getting ready for the wedding. And obviously, with the Christmas tree, you can see it is the holiday season. So we are taking a quick break from the show just for a couple weeks to get ourselves back in order. So, to our DNA fam, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I hope you guys all have a wonderful holiday season. And we will be back with the show in January when things are a little bit more calm. Um, Try not to miss us too much, but we're sending all of our love to you, our DNA fam, and we will be back as soon as we can. Thank you for your support, and I hope you guys enjoy all your time with your
Welcome
family.
to Death and Aliens, an in-depth look at horror and sci-fi TV from two friends who vaguely know what they're doing. I'm Courtney,
And I'm MK.
and how are ya?
I am okay. I'm tired. I worked a lot this week. Um, I
It's Monday.
I worked all weekend. It was my
I did
last.
you?
I was like, what? No. So Thursday was one of the wildest shifts I've ever worked. Because I worked for the Chicks in the Office podcast, their live podcast recording. Um,
How fun was that?
it was not fun.
Really?
Like they were fine, but like they're a little bit full of themselves.
Mm.
Um, but also like the crowd who came to their show is exactly what you would expect. Like
Mm.
30, 20, 30 something wine drunk white women. Like,
Sure.
and so like,
Oh, I was thinking I was thinking the Office Ladies podcast.
oh no. If it was the Office Ladies, that would be amazing. No, Chicks in the
Is
Office,
this a
they're like
Barstool one? Yeah, no,
it's
that
the
tracks.
Barstool one. It was
That
wild.
tracks.
Yes, no, oh my God. Absolutely not would I ever say that about Jenna Fisher.
I
No.
know, it's like, wow, that's wild. And
Yeah,
I was like, I am so off track.
correct. No. And like they were 20 minutes late to their VIP thing. But then because of that, they wanted to start the show 20 minutes late. But then also the bar line wouldn't go down, so they waited even more and they didn't start their show till like 30, 35 minutes late. And then they ran a 30 minutes over their schedule. So we ended an hour later than we were supposed to.
Oh my gosh.
And the bar line literally never died for the entire night. Um, it was just like a lot. But it was also the first time we've ever had a live podcast recording, like at the theater. And so then on Saturday, my friend Greg, who's one of the lighting guys at the theater, was like, okay, you're a podcast person. And I was like, yeah. He's like, so my wife dragged me to a live recording of this podcast in Cleveland. And I'm trying to figure out if you think, like, he was like, I want to know, like, if you've heard of the podcast and if you think, like, we'd have an audience enough to get them to do a live show there, because I'm going to try to work it out. And it was, and that's why we drank. And I was like, please, if you could make
I
that happen.
would die. I would fly out to you. I
I know.
would be
But that's,
there.
I literally said to Greg, I go, my best friend would come all the way from New Orleans just to do that if we did that. Like,
I flew to New York to do it at Sleepy Hollow.
yeah. Because he just saw their live show in Cleveland and he's trying to get it to
It's
happen.
so good.
I know.
I mean, I think they've already got their tour scheduled out. So
Oh, yeah, no.
but because they're on the second leg of it, so like they're done after this.
Right. But so like,
I
yeah.
love them so much. Oh my God, could I be VIP? Could you sneak me into everything?
So I don't know. But like
I'm chill.
yeah. But the show that I was working all day Saturday was a John Denver tribute concert.
What
And
a wild change.
correct. But honestly, it was phenomenal. The guy was so nice. This poor man literally flew direct to Buffalo just to not have to like worry about his bags getting lost. And JetBlue lost all of his bags, including his guitar. It was a
Bless this
while.
man.
So even though he was really chill and the audience was way chiller than we'd had before, it was still not an easy day because it was just fucking wild. Um, like at one point my hair, like at one point my wardrobe, like my hair and makeup lady stopped being hair and makeup and became a runner to go to the airport to get like all his bags when they finally got there. Like it
Oh,
was,
they did get there eventually, though?
except for his guitar. His
Oh,
guitar is still missing. So like it was just it was and that was an 11-hour shift. So by the time I got to work yesterday, I was like, I can't do this anymore.
I can't be here anymore.
But the show I worked yesterday, which is also the show I saw last week, was Anne Juliet.
I saw that on your Instagram.
And let
It's
me
coming here, I think, in like April.
have you seen it or know anything about it?
Mhm.
Okay.
I saw it.
I was prepared to hate it. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you.
I
Based on
know.
how, based
Everyone
on,
is.
yeah. Well, and here's the thing. I knew the general gist of the story, and I knew what the music was gonna be. But
Mhm.
based on how I felt about Moulin Rouge and how I feel about a lot of the like
Jukebox musicals.
jukeboxy musicals
Mhm.
that I don't mind a like Beautiful or a Tina Turner where it's their music and their life. But like some of the jukeboxy musicals, especially ones that are like they just kind of throw stories together and they're not always
Mhm.
really well done.
Yeah,
I was very prepared to hate this show. And I did not at
I
all.
know.
Um it first of all, if you get a chance to see it on tour, Rachel Simone Webb, who is currently playing Juliet, is fucking wild.
I worked their opening party.
Mm.
I love them.
She's not the original. She
No, no,
she
she's
did
not the
yeah.
original.
She did close out the Broadway run,
Mhm.
but she
I may have
wow.
seen her then. That may be who I saw because I didn't see Courtney Lauren. She was
Mm,
off by the time I went and saw it.
because Rachel was amazing. Our Anne Hathaway was Teal Wicks.
I don't know that I know who that is.
Okay, Teal Wicks was the original um she originated the role in Finding Neverland
I
of
know
the
what you're talking
mom. What was he? And there was something else that she originated that I always forget that she originated. She was Lady in the Cher show.
I still haven't seen it either. It's coming to town.
It's coming here
I
too. We're
know her
getting
face.
yeah. What is the other one that she originated that I always forget? Oh, she was an Alphaba at some point.
Yeah.
Um, but she originated. She was best known as for Alphaba. She originated Lady in the Cher show and the
No, she was in a revival of Jekyll and Hyde. That's how I
yes.
recognize her.
Yeah. And then she did Finding Neverland. She's and I was really fucking excited to see her. And she was amazing, like amazing and so sweet when I met her. But I was not as prepared for how fucking good um the Juliet was gonna be. And also Lance is my favorite character of all time. All time. Someone asked me why, and I was like, because that's exactly how I imagine Dan would be dancing around the bedroom. Like 100%. Everything about it. The French accent and
This-
all. Like I fucking love it. Love it. I didn't bring Dan because he had a board meeting that day and I just assumed he wasn't gonna like the show anyway. And I texted him at intermission and I was like, I'm so sorry that I didn't find a way to take you to the show. Like genuinely so sorry.
Yeah, my friend Jason, who was one of my managers in the long room, he he worked for real estate for like 3 minutes. I don't know. But the real estate company he worked with was the one that did all the theater real estate
Mm,
and like for the actors real estate stuff. And
yeah.
so they gave us free tickets. And so I just happened to be in town when he had free tickets. And so we went and saw it. And it was so good. So,
Oh, good.
like free things.
And pretty good things are even better.
Mhm.
But yeah, so I had a lot of theater in my life this week. Um,
I love that.
yeah. Yeah.
Um,
How are
I don't know
you?
what I did this. I don't know. I don't know what I did this week. Um, I finalized my house stuff. I talked about that already.
Uh-huh.
Um, for those of you who watched last week's episode, I did not die when I got off the podcast,
Oh yeah,
which
that was
probably amazing
real
to
close call.
imagine. I truly, like, I do not remember the last 20 minutes of the episode that we recorded.
I'm gonna be honest, a lot of times I don't remember the last 20 minutes of the episode because we record so much at once that I
Yeah.
like am exhausted, and also I'm usually tired before we start. I often
Yeah.
don't remember the end of the episode.
Well, I just remember the cutoff point when my brain stopped working
Mm.
and was blank after that. So, I did survive.
Which is also hard because you lead the second episode.
Sure is. Sure is. So, Godspeed. I hope it's not the worst episode you've ever heard.
I haven't
But
edited yet,
I'm
so I
fine.
can't tell you.
But I'm fine. I am not unwell today. I'm not as unwell. I'm not well today either, but I'm much better than I was. Rachel just texted me pizza for breakfast tomorrow, so we must still have pizza.
Oh yeah, no, you must.
But yeah, no, I'm fine. It's a weird week. It's Thanksgiving week, so I'm getting ready to go home. I am getting used to this new normal. I think last we talked, I was almost having a panic attack.
You were
About my job interview. So I do remember the first part of the episode, which also wasn't in a great place then either, but I at least remember that part of it.
right.
But I decided not to move to Nashville. I mean, I don't know, I haven't heard back from them, but it's not a job that's for me. It's a whole different apartment. And so
Yeah.
that was kind of like nice to come to peace with. Like, I got out of my interview Thursday and immediately called my landlord and was like, hey, I want this apartment. He was like, you got it. And he charged me $50 less a month than he initially told me. So, but yeah, so there's just been a lot of planning. It's been a lot of me stressing over what I'm doing next. But now I'm getting ready to sign a lease, so I'll for sure be here for a year. I mentioned I've been doing artist consultations again, which is fun. I started working with this guy out of London who's a music teacher. Not great for my schedule, but he's a cool guy. I am like half of my jobs at this point in my life, half are in the UK and half are here. And so I don't sleep right. Like, I have reports due at 3 a.m. and I do them at 2:30 because why would I do them before the time they're due? Who's to say?
I mean,
so
I'd tell you to get it together, but if you look at
but then you
my
have to get it together.
I was like, if you look at my current overdue assignments in my grad classes, I have no fucking room to talk.
Yeah. So I don't know what's going on in my life, but I'm fine. I've gotten to the point where I know at least that.
Yeah.
I have been reading a lot. I've been cycling through my Riley Sager and Frida McFadden books. Riley Sager never fails. Always a hit for me. Frida McFadden, I was very disappointed to learn, was not always a hit for me.
Yeah, I've heard
because
that.
I loved The Housemaid.
I've heard a lot of her books are hit or miss though.
They are. I've read like 7 of them now. Like, my mom told me about The Housemaid ages ago, and I'm sure I talked about it on here because I was obsessed. I have not read the 3rd one yet. I heard it wasn't as good as the first 2, but I just haven't read it yet. But then I've been trying to listen to every one of her books uses the same formula, and I get it. I understand a thriller formula, but Riley Sager uses a similar formula too, and you still don't ever know what's going to happen on the other side. Like, it is what it is. So she's got to get it together. But I'm listening to one right now called Ward D, and I think it might be. I mean, I'm still figuring out the twist for what happened, but I think it might be a little bit better than some of the other ones that I've read. Another book news.
I'm on Crown of Midnight, which is the second Throne of Glass book. For those of you keeping track of how quickly I have devoured the Sarah J. Maas universe.
It is too quickly. The answer. But in other book news, did you read Verity?
No. I have never read a single Colleen Hoover book.
That's the only Colleen Hoover book I've read.
Okay.
Because the rest of them are like lovey-dovey and traumatic. And I'm not here for that. I am not trying to feel feelings.
I have a friend who has literally read every single one of Colleen Hoover's books and tells me about it all the time. And I'm like, if I'm gonna feel things, I want it to be about fairies, not about people.
Absolutely. I need to be in my fantasy world and not in a real life existence. That's how I feel about all of my emotions. So Verity is like true psychological thriller,
Hmm.
almost to the extent of horror. Like it is, but it's not like
Oh,
your typical horror, but it's really like
yeah.
intense and
Okay.
suspenseful.
Okay.
And it's I was surprised at how much I liked it based off of how much hype it had before I read it. Because usually if it's hyped up a lot, I don't enjoy it as much as I
Well, and
wanted
that's
to
the
because
thing.
I've hyped it up.
That's why it took me so long to get into romantasy in general, because
Yeah.
book talk's a fucking wild place to be. And everybody was just like, oh my God, you have to read this book. You have to read this book. And I was like, bitch, no. And so then 7 years later, I finally read it and then read 7 books in a month. So like,
Well, my friend who also read the whole Akatar series that I used to work with, she's
yeah.
also the one who told me to read Verity. And she was like, you have to read.
Mm,
She would tell me like every day until I read it,
okay.
basically. And so she had intense feelings about both of them, very different stories. But they just announced the casting for it finally. And I need you to read it. And then I need you to understand that Anne Hathaway is playing Verity. And then I need to talk to you about it.
I have not heard good things about that casting decision. I don't know anything about the book, but
I
I've not heard positive reviews about that casting decision.
I cannot figure out how it will work. I can't
Okay.
figure out a way for it to end positively that she's playing Verity.
Okay. I'm
Like,
always really torn with book castings in general. And honestly, I think that's one of the reasons why, despite the hype and Hulu having owned the rights for so long, that none of the Sarah J. Maas books have been made into
mm,
anything, because the casting is going to be asinine to try to actually
same thing
do
with House of
correctly.
Night.
Yeah, like it's never going to
Mhm.
happen correctly. Like Hulu has owned the rights to the Akatar series for at least 3 years, and there has not been a single step forward in development. And I think that they don't know what the fuck to do.
Yeah.
But
I think CBS has had the rights to House of Night or one of those type stations for
yeah,
like 8 years or more.
and it's always so interesting.
Mhm.
But I still like I will die on this hill. Ben Affleck in Gone Girl was the most perfect book to movie casting I've ever seen in my entire fucking life.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will literally sell my firstborn child for like on
Right.
that hill.
Yeah. I can get behind that feeling. I like that. I just feel like with Verity, like Verity is a very intense part, and I feel like we're gonna get another scene. Did you see The Perfect Gift? Is that what it's called? Blake Lively and Anna Kendrick.
Yes, I loved that actually.
So I really loved it, but I felt like Blake Lively didn't do justice to the thrillery part.
So here's the thing, I never read the book.
Oh, I didn't either.
Okay, okay.
I just thought her acting skills weren't the right fit for that. I
See,
didn't buy it as much as I wanted to.
I can see that. I did, but I can see it. I can see why it
Um,
didn't fit well.
well, this is a bad comparison then that I'm about to make. So I was gonna say I feel like that's gonna be Anne Hathaway and Verity, but Verity's a much more intense character, and Anne Hathaway's a much less intense character than Blake Lively. So I feel like you
Yes.
know,
I mean, but like Princess Diaries Anne Hathaway and Les Mis Anne Hathaway aren't the same person.
yeah, but neither of them is Verity.
Which, of course, I don't know because I haven't read the
Mhm.
book. I don't know.
It's a bonkers story. She's like, it's like the whole premise is that she's had a lot of trauma as well. So she's like this trauma, this person based. I don't know. You just have to read it.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, it's pretty good. So I'm a little conflicted about that. So while I'm here, sitting here in my confliction state,
Oh,
can you give me a little spiritual guidance?
I can try. Yeah. As I choke. At the end of the day, there are some things you just can't help but talk about. Some things we just don't want to hear, and some things we say because we can't be silent any longer. Some things are more than what you say, they're what you do. Some things you say because there's no other choice. Some things you keep to yourself. And not too often, but every now and then, some things simply speak for themselves.
That's nice. That's a little bit nicer than I'm used to.
Yeah, that's better than we've had it.
Mhm. Yeah. Um, well, that's our high note. So we're gonna
It,
get into a
it won't get better.
it doesn't get better from here. Because we are starting Hannibal season 3, episode 4, Aperitivo. Um, I'm also so sorry. I have like a weird sinusy earache thing, and my ear keeps like itching. So that's just who I am today. It aired June 25th of 2015.
Okay.
It was rated 7.9 out of 10.
Okay.
Um, number one song is "Still See You
That's
Again."
that's pretty
What?
low for a Hannibal episode.
It's pretty low for a Hannibal episode. Yeah, I think the last week was still like 8.1 too. Like it's they haven't been as high this season as they
Yeah,
were.
no, and I know this season was lower, but 7 is, I don't think we've had anything in the sevens. Like that's,
I think we did, but I can't remember what it was.
but
But
it's
not a
not,
lot.
yeah.
So, number one movie is also still Jurassic World. Our number one book is also Finders Keepers from Stephen King, which I think we also had last week.
Yeah.
So, on this day, can't read I wrote these notes in the car this morning, and so I can't read them. The Boston bomber came out and apologized for killing people. That was like headlines of the day. It was like cool. It was also the 2015 NBA draft. And last but certainly not least, Patrick Marney passed away today at 93. He is known for the original The Avengers cartoon series, Magnum PI, and Sherlock. So, not cartoon. I don't know if the Avengers cartoon or not, but the original series. I haven't actually seen it.
Okay.
Our director, as I mentioned last week, if you listened, is new. It is Mark Jost. And he is known for Daredevil, like the new one, the TV show, One Piece, The Witcher, Luke Cage, and there's one more I forgot to write down.
Oh, so he just is owned by Netflix.
He's owned by Netflix. No, he's owned by Marvel, I think, because One Piece is also a Netflix show.
No, One Piece is Netflix.
No, these are all Netflix.
Yeah, because those are all pre-Disney Plus Netflix shows, and then the two, The Witcher and One Piece, are Netflix. So yeah, he's just owned by Netflix.
Yeah, that seems to be the case.
Yeah.
He is from Zimbabwe.
Love that.
And I feel like we don't get a lot of Zimbabwean directors.
No.
And he co-founded the Three Monkeys Theater, which I don't know what that is, but he's done a lot of theater work, so that's why he created, or co-created.
Of all of the people that I know who are from Africa, who have lived in Africa, I don't know that I have actually met anyone from Zimbabwe.
I have. One of the guys that was at the conference. Oh my gosh, my brain just quit for a second. The Tumbleweed Fest in Washington. He was from Zimbabwe. And he was, I can't remember his name, it started with an S, but he was pretty cool. So
yeah. No, I mean, I have a lot of friends from Africa, but I don't know that any of them are from Zimbabwe.
So then we have our writers. We have Steve Lightfoot and a new writer, Nick Antosca, who is known for Channel Zero, which I don't know if we just talked about it as an option on here, because I have seen it on every list when I've tried to figure out what show to do.
I have never even heard of it.
I couldn't find it last time I looked, but everyone has recommended it.
Okay.
The Act, which was,
sorry, my phone. I was looking at something on Facebook and my phone auto played a video.
I see.
I was like, what the fuck is happening?
The Act, which was the Gypsy Rose documentary, docuseries on that Hulu. Yeah. Friend of the Family, which was also the docuseries on Peacock, I think, about the guy who was sleeping with the 12-year-old, or was trying to sleep with the 12-year-old daughter, but also sleeping with the mom and the dad separately. I can't remember his name. There was like a regular documentary that came out about this, and then they made the docuseries. I only saw the regular documentary.
Oh, okay, yes, because I was like, wait, that was not on that channel. No, but I only watched I watched the documentary, not the docuseries, and he was in the docuseries. Yeah. Oh, okay. But that documentary was so fucked up that I made everyone I know watch it. I like literally made my dad watch it with me, because I was like, I need someone else to experience the trauma that I have experienced watching this.
I think my aunt watched it 5 times because she watched it with multiple people.
Yeah. I watched it with everyone.
Me,
I don't rewatch things. I
yeah,
don't have time to rewatch things. I
right.
watched that documentary 8 times.
It was wild. It was so bonkers.
I didn't know there was a docuseries, but now I obviously have to watch it.
When I worked at TRO, we had some music in it. That's the only reason I really knew a whole lot about it.
Oh, yeah.
Like 3 songs in it. And he's also known for brand new cherry flavor.
I have not heard good things about that show. Like,
I'm sure I've talked about that show on here.
no, oh yeah, it's you. You're the one I've heard terrible things from it from.
It gives me the ick.
Yeah.
And I watched like 3/4 of it. Like I watched a good bit of it.
The logo gives me the ick.
Yeah, the logo gives me the ick, but I pushed through because it was supposed to be a really good like horror show and like horror comedy. And I watched like 3/4 of it. It never got better. And I just had the ick the whole time. Not for me. So we have a really interesting director and writer cast.
I mean, this episode gave me the ick too, though. So
I forgot to look up the editor. I'm realizing that at the second. So give me 3.5 seconds to do that. This episode did not give me the ick in the same that Brandon cherry flavor did.
No, not the same ick, but it definitely gave me yeah, I didn't. To be fair, I prejudicedly didn't like it.
Yeah, which is fine. Our editor's still Stephen Phillipson, so
Okay.
samesies.
I just don't like lazy writing.
Yeah, we've had a little bit of an interesting so far this season with lazy writing. But who knows? Maybe it'll get better. It doesn't help that we're having new directors and new writers in the midst, but that's fine. After a whole season of pretty much having the same team.
Yeah.
So because I didn't realize till after I did my notes that they have a new guy playing Mason Berger, we'll talk about him next week.
I didn't realize that the voice sounded so different, and I was like, that voice is wrong. And then I was like, well, okay, I don't know, maybe they did something with it because of how fucked up he was. So I just ignored it, but immediately when he started talking, I was like, that's not correct.
Well, I remember reading that we were gonna have a new person playing Mason this season, which is how I knew he was coming back. But then I just like wrote it out of my brain, and then I was like, I don't know, I forgot. But anyways, I didn't talk about him this week.
Was Raul Esparza the person whose name was in the credits last week, or was it Lawrence Fishburne? No, because Jack was already back.
It was what's her face? Bloom. Caroline DeVertis.
Okay. Because when I saw my dear friend Raul, I was like, son of a bitch.
Yeah, that one caught me off guard more than anyone else. So this week we're talking about. Go ahead.
Not that I was mad about him. We'll get to that.
Right.
But he was the only one who came back from the dead that I wasn't mad about because I never thought he was dead. Right. Everyone else coming back.
I never thought. I didn't think he was dead either.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if we were too far removed to come back to him or not.
Truly.
So our guest star this week is Glenn Fleshler, who plays Cordell, who is at the end with Mason Berger. He's a strange person. He is known for Joker, Billions, Barry, and True Detective. So like he's got a good repertoire.
Those are none of those are bad.
Yeah, I haven't watched Billions, but I like all the other ones. So
yeah. Although apparently Joker Part 2 was terrible.
Really?
I have not heard good things about
that. No. That's sad because I really like Lady Gaga's acting.
Yeah, me too, but I never thought they should have made a sequel to that. But
yeah, no, that's fair. That's a fair point. I also forgot to mention Nick Antasca was also born in New Orleans, our writer for the week.
Nice.
So Glenn Fleshler. No, it doesn't help any, but there's just another fun fact I had that I forgot to say out loud. So Glenn Fleshler has also done a lot of theater. He was off Broadway. He appeared in plays like Measure for Measure, Pericles, Prince of Tyre. He also his Broadway credits include Death of a Salesman, Guys and Dolls, Arcadia, and The Merchant of Venice. So a lot of your classic shows.
Yeah.
And last but certainly not least,
there was an extra T in that one.
He frequently appears in Dick Wolf Productions.
Oh,
including 5 episodes between '02 and 21 of Law and Order SVU as 4 different characters, 3 episodes of Law and Order as 3 different characters, and 1 episode of FBI Most Wanted. So him and Dick Wolf are just
I love a
besties.
Dick Wolf production.
I know, who doesn't? Who doesn't love a Dick Wolf production? It's like the gold star standard.
Yeah.
So like love. And that's trivia. That's for the end of the show. So they put that away. So now we're gonna start our episode. And we have this is like not a clip show, but we have a lot of recaps this episode.
Mhm.
So we start with a recap of the last night with Jack being shot.
Yeah.
And these are words. I wrote these really quickly and I don't know what any of these words are. And then he's like, we go over to Mason after all of this happening. And this is when you learn that Chilton is alive. And like I was saying, I truly thought that like, I didn't think he died, but I thought we were too far removed that he wasn't coming back. And so I was truly shocked when he was like this was his episode. Which makes me like it a little bit better than some of the other episodes of the season, which is why I'm like, maybe it shouldn't have been the lowest rated so far.
No, I mean, I did like all the Chilton parts of the story. I just had feelings about the lazy writing.
Right. Yeah. Well, we bring Chilton back and we bring Mason back.
Yeah.
So they're like talking to each other creepily about things like, how long does it take to put your face on in the morning? And Chilton's like, yeah, I'm getting really good at it, so it doesn't take very long. And so Mason's like, yeah, well, I'll show you mine if you show me yours. And they just start like taking their faces off. And I was like, this is
And it was a really weirdly drawn out scene too. I did not care for it.
Yeah, I also did not care for that. Which should have been our kickoff that this was going to be a weird episode. So they're both revealing their wounds, and then Mason starts talking. He's like, we'll talk face to face now. And so he's like, I want your help to find Hannibal. I have a big reward. Like, I'll pay you for your therapy services and I'll pay you for this like side gig, yada yada.
Yeah.
And I have to look at my notes when I'm speaking, or I've lost all track of everything. So he needs to he's going through all of this, and Chilton's just like, I'm not your guy. Like, I get it, but this isn't it.
Yeah.
And finally, Mason's just like, so he needs to find someone else to, quote, look after his emotional well-being. And I was like, I don't think that's how I'd explain killing Hannibal.
No, no problem.
But, okay.
Probably not. But sure, you do you, boo.
Right. So Chilton is shooting him down, and we go to the credits. So we come back. I'm so sorry.
You died.
I cannot stop eating. I did not eat today, so now I just am snacking the entire time we've been recording.
It's all right. I'm chewing gum, which is the only reason I'm not. So.
So we have a recap of Will saying, you were supposed to leave. And it's that heart-wrenching moment we get from that last episode.
Oh,
the last season episode.
So heart-wrenching.
And then
I just hate them all. I hate them all.
I know, it's okay. So then we were waking up in the hospital like before. We get the same scene with Will. And however, when the blurry figure comes into view that was Abigail.
Yeah.
Turns out it was Chilton the whole time. So
this was a very interesting way to take it. I did not expect that at all.
I thought that's how they were going to bring Bloom back.
So did I.
Yeah. So I was pleasantly surprised when they brought Chilton in. And the thing is that it was still the same conversation. Like,
yeah, that was what was so interesting about like he kept you alive and blah blah blah, and like he wants you to look for him. Like, it was the exact same conversation, but with a different tinge when you knew who was actually saying it. I really did. I did actually really like that scene.
I did too. I thought that was really well done. And he starts telling him, he's like, he knew how to like get to us. He was like, you were kind of an easy target because you had encephalitis, so you didn't trust your own brain already, like all this stuff. And he's like, there's like
He was
it's
like,
easy
what
not
was
to get
my
to.
excuse?
Yeah, and then he goes, "What was my excuse?" And Will's like, "What did he say? Compulsive imitation."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Well, that is very true. That's why it was so
Yeah.
easy to get you caught up in this because you were exactly like him."
Yeah.
Um, but so I'm so sorry. I've got to stop eating almonds. Um, so Chilton's decided he like wants them to be friends now and go hunt down Hannibal together, like dream team, dream team it up.
Bonnie and Clyde, that shit.
Exactly. And then we go to this like quick cutscene with dinner and Will and Hannah, dinner with Will and Hannibal and Jack, where they both turn to stab him.
It was really weird.
It was really weird because I think it was supposed to be like a mixture of like Hannibal's and Will's memory palace or something. Because
Yeah.
like it clearly didn't happen that way. We saw how it happened and it
Right.
wasn't
No,
that way.
yeah.
But I think that's what Hannibal wanted, but I think it's not certain that that's not what Will
Right.
wanted.
Yeah. I don't know. Like that was very confusing to me.
Yeah. Um, and then like during this whole scene, we also have like a very obvious section where like Will splits into two people, and you see
Mm-hmm.
like, his two sides. So after they stab Jack, there's like the visual of like sparks lighting behind it, and like I gotta stop watching the show on my phone because everything is way too fast on my phone. But they're like doing sparks, and it leads us back to Will like working on a motor or like an engine, like of a boat.
Yeah.
Um,
Which, okay, this scene, Will's working on the boat in his yard,
mhm,
and Jack walks up. And I
mhm.
was like, oh, they didn't make him run away to Florida, but this is where they're gonna do Red Dragon. I thought that that was what was gonna happen in this episode, and then it wasn't.
Was not. Yeah, yeah,
So I was like, well, at least you kept me guessing for a minute.
yeah. True. Because this is where Jack goes to make sure Will is sticking to the story. He wants to make sure that everyone says how it went. They were both there on business and it went wrong. There was no like Jack doing anything off duty, nothing about Will doing anything wrong, taking any of the wrong sides. It was strictly they went in as agents and came out injured. Um,
I guess that's one way to cover your ass.
sure. And so then they start talking about the phone call that Will made to Hannibal during the midst
Yes.
of all this.
Mm-hmm.
And he says that he's like why did you make the phone call? And he's like I told him to leave because I wanted him to run. And he's
Mm-hmm.
like, but why? And he's like, because he was my friend.
Well,
And he's like,
and
okay. And then he's like, and then because and I wanted to run away with him.
yeah, well, because Jack was like, when did you decide you were gonna flip sides? And he was like, I never did. Like he's like, I never actually made that
Yeah.
decision. He was like, I called Hannibal, and I even when I called him, I was not 100% sure what I was gonna say. I never consciously made the decision until I heard his voice. And then I wanted him to
Mhm.
run because I wanted to run away with him.
Yeah. So this is where we get our little love affair that people like to speculate about. Um, you know, what is
Because
it? They're being that's why they're shipped.
ship
Hmm.
Listen, while I do understand it, and obviously there was that really weird threesome scene last season
Hmm.
that was fucking strange. I don't, when you are dealing with psychological terrorism, I
Hmm.
don't think that you can, I don't think you can do that. Like I don't
Right,
I
right,
don't
right.
think either of them are mentally healthy enough for us to ship this relationship in any way, shape, or form.
But how many relationships are shipped that shouldn't be in
Like
fiction worlds?
wildly. And this one is hard for me because I do also kind of love the dynamic of it, but like
Hmm.
I'm well aware. Like it's like the Joker and Harley Quinn. No, 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 no. Visually, love the aesthetic. Is it okay? No. No. But then
I
again, the number of
just
people that want to have sex with Hannibal,
All right.
is also
Makes
concerning.
way more sense for Will to be in a relationship with him than for
Yeah, no,
Brandon.
I would rather ship him and Will than voluntarily have sex with someone who will kill me and eat me and
Right.
serve me to my family.
Right. Yeah, that's not appealing at all.
No,
It's not on my list this year. Um,
it's not on my list in any year.
Probably isn't on my list in any year. Things change. I never know what the day is.
I mean, I am wildly flexible, but not quite that
It's fair.
serious about it.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so then we have the shattered glass visuals. Um, oh, and a pelvis, and we come out and it's Bloom. Turns out she has like shattered her pelvis. That was what the direct image before was meant to say.
Yeah,
If you could be any more in your face.
right.
Um, but she is still alive. And
I'm not gonna lie, I was pissed.
I know, I knew you were gonna be
It's
pissed.
listen, I like Alana. I'm interested in
Mhm.
how they're gonna do it. But this episode very much was like, we don't know what to do next because we fucked ourselves by killing all of the characters. So we're just gonna bring every single one of them back at once. Because Mason, Chilton, and Alana, and then Jack in the episode previous to that. Like it was literally within 2 episodes, four
Mhm.
characters that were unnecessary and probably dead suddenly alive again. Because
Well, the thing is,
Mason was never dead, but the scene
mhm,
at the end of season 2 when his sister was like, I'm going to take care of you the way you took care of me, that was ominous enough that you could have told me that he fucking died and I would have believed it in a heartbeat.
mhm,
There was no reason for him to come back either.
right. Well, the thing is, like, he's apparently such a big character in the books, and you think Brian Fuller wrote all 7 seasons before the show started. So, like, he planned this. It just didn't always hit quite right. And his plans were based so, like, severely off the books and trying to stay true to the books that I think it missed some of the, like,
It missed some
the
of the things that make
storyline.
it also missed some of the things that like the reason the Hannibal movies are so good is because you can tell a book in a movie.
Yeah,
You're trying to take 4 books and turn them into 7 seasons worth of TV show with new interesting stories while also staying true to the books that don't even necessarily always stay true to each other.
right.
It doesn't work. And like
Yeah.
I like Brian Fuller. I think he's a good writer. I think one of his biggest problems is that his ideas never get where he wants them to. Like all of his
Yeah.
shows get canceled and shit
I was
on.
gonna say that happens to all of them. Yeah.
Every single thing he does gets canceled and shit on. And maybe it's because his ideas are too grandiose. Like he
Yeah.
really is working to create something that in execution isn't what it is in his mind.
Right. Yeah. And also, it's a lot of stuff that's not meant for the casual viewer or for
Mhm.
the, you
Yeah,
know,
it's not it's a movie story, not a TV story.
right, right. Um,
And
yeah.
there are some things that I think would be better as TV shows. Like there are some books that get made into movies that I'm like, why didn't you just turn that into like a miniseries and give me more? I don't think this was one of them. I think that this was one of the ones where we didn't have enough material for what you wanted it to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I think, and also, I do think there is enough material. I think it's just the way it was implemented because he's trying to drag out, he's trying to make that suspense. And it's like, this isn't the time to do it, though. You can't have that much suspense and that much, like,
Yeah.
off, before you come back. Um, Especially in a show like this, it's already got the
Mhm.
hype and it's already had such big moments. You
Yeah.
can't lose the momentum or you lose the viewers, which is obviously what happened.
Right.
Um, yeah. So we're with Bloom and Chilton goes to talk to her now. And we learned that like her bone marrow, like because of the way she was shattered, her marrow got into her like bloodstream and
And like
she
altered her like literal mental
yeah,
facility.
it was like she'd be thinking differently. And Chilton just goes, Hallelujah. And he's like, I don't mean to kick you out your town. I was like, you are not wrong though.
Right.
Um, and he keeps being like, well, Will Graham could use a breakthrough because he's now going to all these people trying to like get Hannibal. And she's like, Will had a breakthrough when he was broken. Like
Yeah.
he like was actually broken. Um, and she's like going through all this. She's like, I can't do that. I'm not going to do that. And he's like, shame not to have the good seats. I was like, he's not wrong. Like, if you've made it this far, may as well see the big finale.
Like,
Uh,
is he kind of manipulating you a little bit?
sure.
100%. Is he off base?
Mm, maybe not.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
Yeah. So then Bloom leaves and goes to Hannibal's and starts seeing like flashes of that night. And then Will is also there, just
Just
like sitting on the
chilling on
floor.
the floor.
And he tells her, she's like, why are you here? And he's like, why are you here? And he tells her that he's building rooms in his memory palace for all of his friends, which sounds like the most psychotic thing. It's not incorrect and it's not that psychotic in practice, but the way he said it, it's like,
It might be psychotic in practice too.
well, it could be. We just haven't seen the outcome yet.
Oh, right. But like the
Yeah.
idea that rather than being like, I just want to remember things, I'm going to build mental chambers to put my friends in my head so that they're never able to change or grow from the
Right.
person that I knew them as my friend. And I'm going to lock their memories inside of me and change my entire essence and being into these compartmentalized things. No, it's psychotic in practice too.
Yeah, it's a little psychotic. It's a little crazy. And he just says he wants to like he came there because he wants to be alone. So she leaves him be, and we see that he's like with the dead Abigail and like trying to kind of like get that in his memory with her. So now Bloom is on to the next person. She's gone to visit Margot. Well, she's gone to visit Mason, but runs into Margot. And
I don't think she went to visit. I think when
she's his therapist.
yeah, when Chilton
Yeah.
when he decided that Chilton decided that he should probably not be Mason's therapist, he goes, but
Right.
I still need a front row seat, even if Mason doesn't want me to be his therapist,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I will hand him Bloom.
Yeah, not like a casual friendly visit. Like she's going over there to work.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she runs into Margot and she's walking now, so I don't know how long this has been. No one gives us any time frame. Can't have been that long, but like also couldn't have been that short either. So
yeah, the
who's to say?
timeline of this episode is definitely fucking confusing.
Yeah. So I thought she had gone over there to be Margot's therapist, the way it like started. Turns out no, she's, as we said, there to be Mason's.
Yeah.
And so Margot's telling her, she's like, some people have some issues with talking with Mason. If he offers you chocolate, don't eat it. Like, she's going through all this stuff and she's like, okay, bye. And Bloom goes to talk to Mason and he's just like on this like holy roller kick. He's like, have you received Jesus, Dr. Bloom? He is like real born again.
The wild 360 that happens with Mason's character, which I'm still not 100% convinced is legitimate.
Oh, I don't believe it for a second. No.
Here's the thing. I don't think it's legitimate. But it's also like it could be. Like it could be because you know how there are people who like not like legitimate in the sense like that you and I believe in Jesus, but like it's borderline like Westboro like justifying your shit with Jesus. Like I'm not really sure if this is an act or if he has just taken religion to be a weaponized form of his psychosis. Like I'm not really sure where this is going, but it's like real intense.
It's not well. Yeah. Well, she kind of ignores him with all the Jesus stuff. And she's telling him, she's like they start talking about Hannibal, and she's like, you're supposed to tell the FBI everything you know about Hannibal. Like, have you been doing that? And like, he just again,
sure.
Yeah. He's like, absolutely, that's what I've done. Sure. And then of course they bring up forgiveness again, and she tells him forgiveness isn't all it's cracked up to be. So that's our running theme for season 3, it seems, is forgiveness. We'll see how that goes. So now we have another recap of Jack's not death,
Mm-hmm.
where he's sitting in there and blood droplets are like raising from his hands. And we hear Bella on the phone
Yeah.
trying to talk to him. And then Jack's waking up. And as he's waking up, Bella's there. And she tells him, "You're not going into the ground with me." She's like, "We've talked about this. You
Right.
are not allowed to die. If I'm not allowed to die, for sure, you're not allowed to die."
Right.
Um,
You just did all that shit to make sure she didn't die, and then you have the audacity
right.
to try to die? No, sir.
hmm And
Like
so
he
then we
had
go,
over
I know.
it.
So then we jump over to another Chilton conversation with Jack because he's making the rounds. And he starts telling Jack that he's losing focus. He's like, "You have stepped away. You are not focusing on Hannibal anymore. Like, I don't know what you're doing." And Jack's like, "I'm just trying to like live a life with my like dying wife. Like, I am
He's
not
like, can
trying to
you
do
please just
this."
like let me be a fucking human being?
Yeah. And this is also where we learned that apparently Chilton has trademarked Hannibal the Cannibal, um, which is the funniest thing that I've
He's
ever
like, it
heard.
just rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, Chilton is deranged.
But
Like he
like
is off the wall.
in the best way. Like
Absolutely,
he's the
absolutely.
best kind of psychopath.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Um, and so Jack's telling him, he's like, "I've let it all go." And he's like, I don't have it in me to do that. And then we go back over to his house and he's like tracking all of Bella's medications and he's doing all this stuff. And then we see him inject her, and we know that that's kind of the end because she's not well. And then he starts seeing visions of her with the beautiful dress,
It was
and
sad.
we
It was
learned
really
that
sad.
it was really sad. And we learned that it's actually Bloom standing there helping him pick out like what she's gonna wear in her casket.
Ugh,
And we get flashbacks of their wedding, and it's just beautiful and
yeah.
sad. And love Gina Torres. Um,
Well,
and then we're
and what he says in that scene to Bloom after he like picks out the dress and they're talking about like the funeral and everything, and he looks out his bedroom window and what he says is gotta be one of the like most powerfully simple but
simple,
powerful
yeah.
things. He said, "When I look out the window, the view hasn't changed. And it's not fair that nothing is different except that she's not here because everything
Yeah.
should be different." And it's like this idea that like your entire world shatters, but then it keeps moving and everyone's going to expect everyone else sees the world the same and it can never be, even though it has to be. Like it's just the idea, I don't know, it really struck me the way he was like, because it was also almost a denial of it. Like when I look out the window, nothing's changed.
Right.
So why is it that everything inside has
Right.
changed?
Because like the view has to change. Like this has to change.
There
And it's
can't,
like,
yeah.
right. Yeah. It is very sad. Um, and then we also go to the funeral or wake or whatever. There's like three people there, so I don't really know what it is. But he's like standing over Bella and he looks in the flowers and there's a letter from Hannibal.
I'm not gonna lie, that moment was the only one in this moment that like episode that got me. Like I legitimately gasped when I saw that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was like,
I was very surprised. Because he's written about Hannibal's written a letter telling him how sorry he is for everything that's happened to Bella and how he's,
which, like, of course,
condolences.
that makes sense because Hannibal's hiding, but he's still watching all of them. And Hannibal did have a kindred, like, relationship with Bella. And
Right.
I think of all of the people in the show, she was the only person that he had a relationship with where there was nothing to gain from it for himself. Like
Yeah.
his relationship with everyone else very much had like a basis. And I genuinely think that his relationship with Bella, while it may have started as some kind of like worming his way into Jack's life, by the
Yeah.
end of it, when he like revived her, I think he did it because he cared in whatever way he's capable of caring.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so. Um, but also Will shows up. Um, And of course, Jack is happy that he's there, but he tells him, he's like, I know what's coming, Will, and you don't have to die on me too. And just poor Jack. So then we go back to Mason, who's getting like a face massage that's like it's like
Creepy.
working out all of his, it's so creepy. Although with all of my sinus issues lately, I was like, man, that looks really nice. Like,
Oh
how
no, I
people
would have
can
absolutely
be.
loved a face massage like that, but because it was Mason's broken face and it was a really creepy, like
Yeah.
obnoxiously large man doing it while Mason like said weird things about the Bible, I was like, I'm uncomfortable in every way
Yeah.
you can be uncomfortable.
Yeah. Because also he's talking about how he wants to eat Hannibal. And Cordell just says, how would you like it prepared? No second thought.
No,
Um, and he's just like, I knew I liked you, or something to this. I don't remember what his exact line was, but that's basically what
but
he says.
something get to that nature of like, oh, I knew I picked the
Yeah,
right one.
right. And then we learn he's getting a full face remodel. So like he's able to do more with his face. Um, so then we have Mason and Bloom, and they're talking about Hannibal again, and she's like, where do you think he is? He's got to be in Europe. Like he's always looking for the finer things in life, the delicacies. Like that's Europe. Like where else would he
Yeah.
go?
She was like, his
And
name might change, but the one thing he's never done is change an ounce of his personality. Like
right.
those standards that he holds for himself aren't gonna
Hmm.
change, even if he
Right.
changes everything else.
Yeah, and like Mason's like pushing her and he's like saying all these things and she's just like, I'm doing my part. I'm doing my part to get Hannibal to the stage. And so it's like obviously this whole Scooby-Doo team has like a plan that
This
they're
is
putting together.
the most fucking bonkers Scooby-Doo team. Will, Jack, Alana, Mason, and Chilton. What?
Never in a million years. Never in a million years.
I would pop every tire on that mystery machine.
Absolutely. They don't need to go anywhere together.
No.
Ugh. But then we go to Will's house. Will is not there, but we are there. And Bloom is letting the dogs out as Jack is like walking up. And we learn that Will
Yeah.
is already gone. So now we're kind of caught up to wherever
Caught
he
up.
left for
Yeah.
Europe. Um, and we, of course, flash over to Will and he is on a boat. Because where else would he be?
That was not the
And
way I would have imagined him
that's,
getting to Europe.
that is also not what I would have imagined. I guess he was not trying to get like caught or like have his passports ran or whatever, like on the plane. I don't know. But
Or
like, yeah, no,
like
that
maybe
was
he didn't care about getting there in any speed.
right. He's just gonna take his time because why not? Um, and that is how we ended. I do have a little bit of trivia for you. Um,
Please.
so as I mentioned, Mason Berger, Michael Pitt was replaced by Joe Anderson, so we'll talk more about him next week,
Okay.
probably. I can only imagine. Um, William Blake's painting, The Ancient of Days, hangs in Mason Berger's bedroom. So
Okay.
we see a shot of it. Um, I think that's my favorite one, so hold on. Da-da-da-da. Okay, so the poem that Hannibal writes on his card to Jack Crawford is A Fever by John Donne. Specifically the verse, O wrangling schools that search what fire shall burn this world, had none the wit unto this knowledge to aspire, that this her fever might be it. Because in true Hannibal fashion, why would we not write the poem about
Also,
a
that's like
death?
a really fucking depressing poem.
Yeah, for sure. And then an aperitivo, which is aperitif, is a French word derived from the Latin verb aprir, I can't say it, which means to open. So it's a pre-meal drink specifically meant to whet your appetite.
Yes.
Um, I do not love an aperitif, just like in general, not my
Yeah.
favorite drink. And last but certainly not least, Dr. Chilton's disfigured appearance was inspired by two different screen villains. So John Fogerty, who was played by Ed Harris from A History of Violence, and Raul Silva, played by Javier Bardem from Skyfall. The latter character sharing the same first name as Chilton's. But they took both like two different screen villains. They
Mhm.
put them together to kind of form what
Okay.
Chilton's face looks like. Um,
Actually, no,
yeah.
now that you say that, I think Javier Bardem's character in Skyfall does have that weird discolor eye thing. So
Well, I have not seen Skyfall. or this other history of violence. So I don't know, but it's possible our listeners do. So thought I'd share the news. Yeah. So that is all of the information I have for you. What are your thoughts and feelings?
Um, I am less upset about the episode after talking about it and like thinking about the potential future than I was watching it. I do still think it was a little bit lazy. Um, and I'm still feeling very frustrated with this season because the timeline is wonky and I don't feel
Yeah.
like we're moving forward in the plot. We just keep getting pieces, and I would like to just take the next step. And like I don't know what that is, but I'm kind of done with the stagnation of the season. I need to do something, whether it's another case or an actual like hunt for Hannibal, like whatever it is. We've gotten the 4 entire episodes of just background information, and that feels
Yeah.
unnecessary. And I understand watching this why the ratings are dropping so much and why the season didn't get like why the show didn't get picked up, because I just any momentum the show had, anything that they like the way that they hooked the viewers, they have completely dropped that. And it's
Yeah.
just very difficult.
Yeah. I don't mind the piece by piece buildup. I wish there was more like definition in it though. Like I want to know like either it's a timeline. Like I want to know like we went from Bloom not being able to move with a shattered pelvis to her walking around. Like I don't know what that jump was and I want to know.
Yeah.
But like I also want like bigger pieces. And like Chilton, I feel like was a little bit of a bigger piece than we've been having. And I mean, sure, the Jack reveal, the like Bloom reveal, like these are all fine, but they weren't anything that like
They're
put
just
another wrench in it.
they're just
They
not.
didn't change it. They just
Yeah.
brought us back to the story. And I
Yeah.
want something that throws a wrench in it or that throws a new piece in. And we're not getting anything new. We're just getting the pieces back that we thought we lost.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they're using it like the sense of like the shattered teacup is kind of feels like what the season's built on because we're
Yeah.
getting all the shattered pieces back together. So I get it, but I do think they need a little more intensity or a little more of like a driver.
Yeah. And that's what it
So
is. It's stagnating a little bit, and
mhm.
I'm just ready for the next chapter.
Yeah. Well, now that Will's going to Europe and everyone's alive again, what do you think is going to happen next?
Oh, another character is going to come back from the dead and also have a vendetta.
There's no one
Like,
left. There's
that's
no
not
one
true.
left to come back from the
That's
dead.
not true. A lot of people died. I
But
mean,
like they died for real, died.
what
Like
about,
Beverly's not coming back.
but what about what's her fucking face?
Which one?
Who said that Chilton did it in the first place?
She's not dead though.
Yeah, but why isn't she on team let's form a
Oh,
fucking Scooby gang and
because
fight
she's
shit?
psychotic. Hannibal broke her mind.
Hannibal broke all of them.
Yeah, but they're a little more together. She has like light triggers. They don't. They can like make it through the day. I don't know that she can.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah.
I got nothing.
Yeah, I think we'll have to get Freddie back soon. I mean,
That's
obviously,
right.
I assume she'll come back with like the Tooth Fairy story or whatever.
Right.
But I mean, we knew she was back already, which was our big reveal last season.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think everyone that's like dead is like dead.
Actually dead, yeah.
I think we've reached that point where we've seen them all in the morgue if they were not coming back or they've come back. Like
Yeah,
those were
everyone has
options.
been in pieces.
Yeah. So I don't really know where we're going either, though. I'm interested to see. I mean, we're almost halfway through we're like a third of the way through this season. So like surely we're coming up on the Tooth Fairy storyline soon.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Maybe that's our finale. Who's to say? Well, on that note, if you want to talk to us, you can email us deathandaliens@gmail.com. You can find us on all of the social media at Death and Aliens. You can find me at CECloud13.
And you can follow me everywhere at EMKAY_superstar.
And we will see you for our next Sci-Fi Sunday.
Bye.
Bye.